Hi, this is Pastor Dan with our Week 5 Lenten devotion. Hope this message finds you well. And this week is a difficult topic. We're looking at different aspects of the cross, crosses that people bear that they don't need to. But this is what we are going to call the cross of self-destruction. And for some reason, us humans are really bent on hurting ourselves. This comes in many forms. And what's even more daunting about this is that we will do things that hurt us even though we know they hurt us, but we keep doing them. And when we try to stop them, we don't. And it becomes a very hard habit to break. I mean, it could be even something as like eating too much or drinking too much or playing a video game too much or playing even a recreational thing. We are bent towards kind of even taking a good thing and making it self-destructive. It's our flesh, it's the world and the devil that are working. Even God's good gifts can become addictive. And some people have personalities that are even more addictive than others. And it can be extremely damaging. And it's always something that we need to be aware of. So even if we know, don't do that thing, and we still keep doing it. This is like Paul crying out, I know the thing I should do, and I don't do it. And I'm a wretched man because of it. And this is true. This is kind of the walk in the sinful flesh that we're always waging war against it. And this cross of self-destruction is mimicked in our text. This text from Numbers, which was referenced by Luke in his sermon this last week from John 3:14, it talks about how the Israelites were grumbling in the desert, right? They start grumbling against God and Moses. They don't like the food they're given. They're like, just send us back to Egypt. At least we knew the misery we had then instead of this unknown misery. And it shows this tendency for us to just want to always revert back, even to things that are harmful. And, well, Moses says, God has a judgment against you. And since you're grumbling, God sends serpents, and they're poisonous, and they're biting the people, and they're dying. And they realize, okay, yep, that was the wrong thing to do. We shouldn't, call out God and call him bad. He wants what's good for us. So he tells Moses to fashion this snake. And if anybody looks on this, I think it's a copper snake. If anybody looks on this snake, they will be saved. If they even get bitten, it won't harm them anymore. And this is the same metaphor that's used to say, Jesus, just like if you look up that Jesus was raised up and whoever looks on him shall be saved. And it shows this representation of the snake as like sin, death, dying, addiction, all of the awful things that are the consequence of the curse. Well, Jesus becomes that curse for us, becomes sin for us. And it's a beautiful, hundreds of years before that. And then Jesus is referenced in John here as this snake or the sin that gets raised up and exposed, and then it atones for all the sins. And whoever looks upon the Son of Man will be saved. And that's a beautiful image of what it is to be a believer, that no matter what addictions you have or what things that you do that you shouldn't do, but you keep doing, there's a hope. There's a hope beyond the sinful flesh. There's a hope that our faith in Jesus Christ is ultimately going to save us and rescue us. And we look forward to the resurrection. But like Luke was saying on Sunday, it's too bad as Christians we realize when the resurrection comes, it's going to be great. And it will. But we have access to this right now. We have a very powerful God. His Spirit lives in us, and we have the ability to resist temptation, to turn away from sin, to resist habitual sins or addictions. I have a story. I remember this is many years ago. I remember I was trying to finish my master's thesis, and I was really addicted, I think, to Rainbow Six, some shooter game. I don't even play shooter games anymore, but back then I was. And I swore off all video games for months until I finished that thing. And it was so hard. I remember thinking, I can't imagine not doing this thing. What is it's going to make my life worse? But in the end, it made me realize I don't really need those things. It was replaced by me doing something better. And I've done this with other things in my life, things that I'm addicted to, or I'm like, I can't imagine letting that thing go. Like the Israelites, I can't imagine letting that, situation go because what I think is now is worse, or I'm going towards something. It's just very human for us to not want to change. But every time we do it, it seems like when I finally have a habit that's better than the one I replaced, it's beneficial. And I'm like, why didn't I do that before? And many times we can't even see these things. This is what Luke was talking about that on Sunday, that you could find someone that you could have an honest conversation about. Because we all have blind spots and could see things that might be holding you back, or maybe it's an addiction or some problem that you're not even aware of, that somebody could speak light and life into you and give you a perspective on something better. Now, I am a huge fan of like therapy and counseling and medications and all those things. And yes, and unfortunately, this side of heaven, not everything's going to get fixed. I mean, I know lots of people who have gone through self-destructive behaviors for years and years and years, gone through all the right things, right? Gotten the counseling, gotten the medication. They're faithful, praying people. And then they begin to question, do I have enough faith? I'm still having all this fear and anxiety, and I can't stop doing this thing. And it hurts because ultimately it's sin. But that is the point where all of us need to realize that none of us can save ourselves. That cleaning ourselves up this side of heaven really is impossible. We can get better, we can progress, we can resist temptations, but in the end, we're still broken. And if you know someone, or if you are that person who struggles, do not question the faith that you have, that it will save you. That faith is strong because it's God's faith given to you. It is God's power in you. And so this is a hard topic, this idea of self-destruction. But it's something we all have a tendency towards. And it's also something we need to realize, that if we just look upon the Son of Man, that faith, that salvation through Jesus Christ and that resurrection he has, he's no longer on the cross, is what you have. And that's what I have. And ultimately, whether we really succeed or fail against our self-destructive behaviors, in the end, Jesus wins. He conquers sin, death, and the devil. And this is the spiritual warfare that I want to encourage you to engage in. Find someone to do that with. This is great that this is a devotional when you're with people that might, well, maybe for the first time have that hard conversation, or encourage you to think and pray about that person that you could do this with. Because fighting the battle alone is perfect grounds for the evil one. We don't want to be divided. We want to be together. He wants you to be separated and not have strength. So I pray this devotion is challenging. I pray that it's uplifting, right? It's uplifting, that we know we have a sure hope and that Jesus has provided a way to be saved. But between now and then, as Christians, let's encourage each other, to build each other up, to spur each other on towards good works, and to resist these self-destructive behaviors that we have, and to turn and look at Christ as our Savior, and then follow his ways. And as we approach Holy Week and Lenten season, these are good disciplines. And I hope this finds you in a spot where you are encouraged, and that you can have this honest conversation with those you're with.